Welcome to the Health Headliner podcast by Tudu Digital. Our content is informational only and not medical advice. Please consult your provider. Now, let's dive into today's headlines.
So what if I told you something really, really common, like the herpes simplex virus type 1, the one that causes cold sores, might actually be linked to Alzheimer's disease?
Yeah, it sounds pretty surprising, doesn't it? But there's recent science exploring exactly that connection, and maybe even a new way to think about treatment.
Exactly. So in this deep dive, we're going to unpack how this virus, herpes simplex virus type 1, might influence Alzheimer's development right down at the cellular level.
And we're basing this on a new scientific paper in a journal called Theranostics, and also a health news report covering the research from Korea University College of Medicine.
Okay, so our mission here is to really break down the key findings for you.
Yeah.
What could this mean for understanding Alzheimer's, maybe treating it, and, what are the open questions? We'll try to do it without drowning you in jargon.
Right. So let's start with a bit of background. Alzheimer's disease.
Yeah.
Well, it's characterized by these clumps of protein in the brain, amyloid aggregates. And for a while now, scientists have suspected that certain viruses, ones that can get into the nervous system like Herpes Simplex Virus type 1, might play some role in neurodegenerative diseases. But the how, that's been murky.
Until maybe now.
Yeah.
This research team really zeroed in on how this virus infection affects microglia.
Right, the microglia. Think of them as the brain's own immune cells, the cleanup crew, essentially.
So how did they study this?
Well, they used a really impressive range of methods. They looked at it in mice. They used microglia derived from human cells.
Okay.
They had setups where microglia and neurons were grown together so they could see the interaction.
Ah, clever.
And even used brain organoids. These are like tiny lab-grown mini brains. Using all these different angles really strengthens their case,
Definitely sounds thorough. So what was the big discovery?
Well, one key finding was that the herpes simplex virus type 1 infection seems to mess up a process called mitophagy.
Mitophagy. Okay, break that down.
So mitophagy is how cells get rid of damaged mitochondria. Mitochondria are the cell's power plants, right? And if they get old or broken, they need clearing out.
Got it. Like cellular waste disposal for the power system.
Exactly. And the study found that this virus infection disrupts that cleanup process in the microglia.
And the consequence of that is?
Impaired mitochondrial function. The power plants aren't working properly because the broken ones aren't getting removed. And they saw this consistently in the mice, the human cells, the co-cultures, the organoids. Very consistent picture.
Wow, okay. Was there anything else?
Yes, another big one. The virus infection also seemed to hamper the microglia's ability to clear away those amyloid aggregates. We mentioned the protein clumps linked to Alzheimer's.
Does it stop them from doing their other cleanup job, too?
Precisely. That process is called phagocytosis, basically, the cell eating up waste. And the virus interferes with that vital function as well, according to this study.
Okay, this is starting to paint a picture. Did they figure out how the virus was doing this?
They did, and this is really interesting. They identified a specific protein from the virus itself. It's called US3. That's US3.
A viral protein.
Yep. And this US3 seems to be a major player in disrupting that mitophagy, the mitochondrial cleanup.
So a specific culprit from the virus itself?
Exactly. And they found that US3 interacts directly with a key protein needed for mitophagy called PINK1. That's PINK1.
Tink one.
Yeah, PINK1 normally flags damaged mitochondria for removal, but when US3 latches onto it, PINK1 can't do its job. The signal gets blocked.
Ah, I see. So the virus protein jams the cleanup signal.
That's a good way to put it. So based on all this, the researchers developed a new compound. They called it ALT001, ALT001.
ALT001. And what does it do?
They describe it as a mitophagy enhancer, so it's designed to boost that mitochondrial cleanup process.
Okay, so trying to counteract what the virus does.
Exactly. And they showed that ALT001 actually improved mitophagy function in microglia even when they were infected with the herpes virus. It helped restore the cleanup system.
That sounds promising. Did it have other effects?
It did, yeah. It also seemed to suppress the herpes simplex virus type 1 infection itself.
Oh, really? So it fights the virus too?
Apparently so.
Yeah.
And it reduced neuroinflammation. That's inflammation in the brain, which is another factor in Alzheimer's.
Okay, less inflammation, less virus.
Yeah.
What about the amyloid?
Good question. It also enhanced the microglia's ability to clear those amyloid aggregates, even in the infected cells.
Wow. Okay, so how does ALT001 work then if the virus is blocking PINK1?
Right, this is the clever part. ALT001 doesn't seem to directly fix the PNK1 pathway that the virus breaks. Instead, it activates a different parallel mitophagy pathway.
An alternative route for cleanup.
Kind of, yeah. It uses a pathway involving proteins called ULK1, that's ULK1, and Rab9RAB9, so it sort of bypasses the problem the virus created.
Interesting. A workaround.
Exactly. And interestingly, this ALT001 showed general antiviral effects against herpes simplex virus type 1, even outside of brain cells.
Broader than just the brain mechanism, then.
Seems like it. It also helped the microglia stay in a more normal, healthy state, what scientists call homeostatic, instead of getting overly inflammatory because of the virus.
Which is good for the brain environment overall.
Right. And crucially, it helped restore that phagocytosis ability the microglia could again engulf and remove junk, including amyloid beta.
And they saw this in the mini-brains, too, the organoids.
Yes, in the brain organoid models, ALT001 treatment actually reduced the formation of amyloid plaques when the virus was present.
Okay, so let's step back a bit. What are the big implications here?
Well, I think the first thing is it gives us a much clearer molecular picture, how a really common virus could potentially make neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's worse.
It connects the dots in a new way.
Exactly. And that leads to the second point. A potential new treatment strategy. Targeting mitophagy, perhaps specifically with something like ALT001, could be a whole new angle for Alzheimer's therapy.
Especially maybe for people where viral infections might be a factor.
That's the thinking, yeah. And Professor Shin, the lead researcher, suggested ALT001 might even have potential for other viral neurological problems down the line, not just Alzheimer's.
And the focus on microglia, that seems important too.
It really is. So much Alzheimer's research has focused, understandably, on neurons, the nerve cells themselves. This study really highlights the crucial role these immune cells, the microglia, play in this whole process, especially in the context of infection.
Okay, but we need to be realistic here, right? There must be limitations.
Oh, absolutely. Very important point. We have to remember this is preclinical research. It's done in cells, mice, organoids.
Lab
models, exactly. These are essential steps, but the findings need to be confirmed in human clinical trials. We don't know for sure yet if it works the same way in people.
Right. And does this study prove that cold sores cause Alzheimer's?
No, it doesn't prove causation. It shows a strong link, a potential mechanism for how the virus could contribute or worsen the disease in some individuals, but it doesn't mean everyone with the virus gets Alzheimer's. It's likely one factor among many.
Okay, that's a crucial distinction. What about ALT001 itself?
Well, it's early days. We need more research to understand its long-term effects, potential side effects, how best to use it, all of that.
And Alzheimer's itself is just complex, isn't it?
Hugely complex. Viral infections might be one piece of the puzzle, as this research suggests, but there are genetic factors, lifestyle factors, other biological processes. It's definitely not just one thing.
Right. Did the researchers themselves comment on the significance?
Yes. Professor Shin specifically mentioned the study's value in showing that molecular link between viral infection and neurodegenerative diseases and presenting this new treatment strategy.
And their paper concluded.
They concluded that using ALT001 to target this alternative mitophagy pathway effectively counters the problems caused by the herpes virus in microglia and reduces neurodegeneration in their models.
And they linked ALT001's antiviral action back to that pathway too.
Yeah, they highlighted that its antiviral effect seems tied to boosting the body's natural interferon immune response, and that seems to happen through that ULK1-Rab9 mitophagy pathway it activates.
Okay, so wrapping this up, it feels like this research opens some really interesting doors.
It definitely does, both for understanding the disease and potentially finding new ways to tackle it.
So for listeners, it's definitely worth keeping an eye on where this kind of research goes. Alzheimer's, neurodegenerative diseases, the science is moving fast.
Absolutely. And it also kind of highlights how interconnected everything is in health, doesn't it? How something like a common virus might have unexpected long-term effects on brain health.
Yeah, it really makes you think. So here's a final thought to leave you with. Could managing common viral infections actually play a bigger role in protecting our brains as we age than we currently realize?
And maybe think about what other factors, things we don't normally connect with brain health, might actually be influencing our risk for these complex diseases.
Lots to consider there. A fascinating look at a potential new piece of the Alzheimer's puzzle.
Thanks for tuning in to the Health Headliner podcast by To Do Digital. Like and subscribe for more health news and breakthroughs. Stay healthy and informed. See you next time.